Hey guys, welcome to a new Python tutorial. Today I want to show you how we can work with Google Sheets in Python. Google Sheets can be used if you want to store some data in the cloud, but you don't need a full-blown database. It's still pretty powerful and it's also very easy to use in Python. For example, in this sheet here, we can very easily retrieve the data or also update or delete the data from a Python script. So let me show you how we can do this. The first thing we have to do is to go to our Google Developer Console. So it's console.developers.google.com. And then we want to create a new project. So I go and say new project and I give this a name. So let's say Sheets Tutorial 2 because I already have one, and create. Then we select our new project here. So it's this one. And we have to enable two APIs. So the first one is the Google Drive API. So we search for that and select it and click on enable. And we also want to have the Google Sheets API. So let's search for Sheets and Google Sheets API and enable this one too. Then let's go back to the main screen. And now we want to create credentials for our app. So we click on credentials and create credentials, and here we want to click on service account because this is the one we need when we run it from a script. Then let's give it a name, so I call this Python engineer. So this is also the name of the bot, and then here as a description, so access sheets from Python, and click on create. Then we have to give it a role, and for this we want to select project and then editor so it can modify our file, and click on continue. Then we want to click on create key and select JSON and create, and this will download a JSON file with the credentials. So now we are done in the Google Developer Console, and now let's go to the code. And here I already have a script, main.py. So now we want to go to the download folder, and here we have our JSON file that we just downloaded. So let's move this to our project directory and let's rename this. So let's call this credentials.json. And now we have to create a Google Sheet that we want to use. So here I already created one. So here you can give it a name. So here in this example, it's storing user data. And then I recommend to use the first row as a header row with all the names for your columns. So here I have the name, the age, and the city, and then fill in some data. And then we have to do one more thing in order to access this file. So we have to go to the credentials.json and select the client email, so this part, and copy it. And then we have to share it here. So let's click on share and paste in this bot email and select it and then share it. And now we have access to this Google Sheet from Python. So in order to use the Google Sheets API, we import gspread. This is a nice Python API. And if you don't have this installed, then you can just say pip install gspread. And now we have to create a service account. So we say gc, and then we say gspread.service account. And then we have to give it the file name equals the name of our credentials file, so credentials.json. And then we can open our spreadsheet by saying sh equals gc.open. And here, for example, you can open it like this and give it the name user, but I prefer to do it with the method open by key. And for this, I have to go to the Google Sheet and in the URL select this part here with the key. So this is the key of this spreadsheet, and paste it in here. And a spreadsheet can have more worksheets. So usually you only have one worksheet. So that's the one we are seeing, and we can access this by saying worksheet equals sh.sheet1. And then let's bring these two next to each other. So now let's access the data, and for example, we can get all the records by saying result equals worksheet.get all records. And now if we run this, then this should work. Here I have a typo, so it's called file name, of course. And we also want to print our result, of course. So let's run this. And then we see it works. So we have access to the file, and here we see this method returns a list of dictionaries. So here we have our first entry with all the key value pairs. Now instead we could also use a method that is called worksheet.get all values. And now if we print this, then we see this is a list of lists. So this has all the rows as one list. And we can also access single rows or columns. So let me copy this part here. And let's access only one row. So we can say worksheet.row values and then the number of the row. So let's say row 1. And if we run this, then we see it prints the first row, and here we have to be careful because the indices start at 1 and not at 0 as usually in programming. We can also access the column values of column 1. Then we see we have the column 1 here. We can also access single cells by saying worksheet.get and then the name of the cell. So we can say, for example, A2 and run this, and then it will only print the cell A2, so this one here. Here we can also specify a range, so we can say from A2 to C2. This will print the range from A2 to C2, so all these values. So this is how we access the data. Now let's talk about how we can insert or update the data. So let's say we create a new user and we have to create this as a list and then use the values. So let's give it the name Susan, and then as a next entry the age. So let's say 25, and then the city. So let's say Sydney. And then we can insert this row. So we can say worksheet.insert row and then our user, and at position, let's say 3. So if we run this, then we see the live update. So it inserted the row at position number 3. So now it's in row number 3. We can also append the row. So we can say append row, then we don't need to specify the row. And we see that it got appended. We can also update specific cell values. So for this, let's say we want to update this cell here. So we can do it by saying worksheet.update cell, and then it's row number 6 and column number 2, and we want to give it the value 28 and run it. Then we see this cell here changed to 28. So this is how we update cells. Of course, we can also delete cells. So we can say worksheet.delete row or delete rows, and then specify the row number 1. So let's run it. Then we see that row number 1 got deleted. And of course, we can also use all of these methods with columns instead of rows. But I think now this should be clear how to use it. And yeah, so this is the basic functionality, how we can work with Google Spreadsheets. For detailed documentation, you can check out the official documentation of the GSpread library. So here you find all the API methods that are available. And yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you like this, please subscribe to the channel and see you next time. Bye.